hazardous. She's only 17, made us curious. It was a carefree time. How about we jump back and rewind? We were living on Winger and a prayer, just garbage pail kids with mullets and big hair. Let's open up another pack. Gen X wants their future back. Break out the denim jackets and faded band patches. Share memories, Polaroid captured. It's the Gen X marks the spot podcast.
From the Wherever I May Roam studio, it's Gen X Marks the Spot podcast, and I am your host, Joe Augustine. Today's guest was so high energy that I think my coffee got a nervous condition from him. I'm talking about none other than mild Steve Brown of Tesla and Oleander. And as you'll hear during the interview, Steve was like the human energy drink, just non-stop liveliness. Now, I guess I'm kind of thankful that I only interviewed mild Steve Brown and not his big bro, Wild Mick Brown of Dawkin. I don't know if myself or my coffee could have handled that. And can you believe this? 2 Browns in one family that were drummers. How did their parents survive? I'm going to imagine that growing up in their household, the words, "turn it down," was never uttered. And in today's episode of Gen X Marks the Spot podcast, Steve is going to discuss life on the road as a drummer and how he is so pumped for the insanest upcoming summer tour imaginable this year. Tesla, Extreme, and Mötley Crüe, the return of the Carnival of Sins tour. And the really cool thing about this tour, it's getting kicked off July 17th at the Pavilion at Star Lake right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 3 legendary acts, 1 stage, and probably more guitar solos per night than you'll ever hear in your lifetime. So, for all you modern day cowboys and cowgirls, saddle up. Here's my interview with mild Steve Brown of Tesla and Oleander.
How's your son? Is he doing all right?
Well, thanks for asking. Actually, no, he gets this every year, right around this time. Actually, a little bit early. He gets strep throat, and then I hate to say it, but every part of his gland starts swelling, and it's horrible.
Don't they usually take your tonsils out for that?
He has to get his adenoids and a few other things taken out, but yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, in the old days, they used to just be like, "Yeah, if you get a cold more than once, we're gonna take your tonsils."
Tell me about it. Sometimes I wish they would take his vocal cords out as much as he talks, but
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's actually laying in my little studio on the recliner that I have in there, so I didn't want to bother him. So
2 words: ice cream.
Oh, hey, he would jump at that. That's for sure. So how are you doing? You all good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah.
Nice.
Just my wife and I are up at our house in the mountains and doing the thing, man. We were like,
right. Oh, I get it.
Where are you?
Pennsylvania, south of Pittsburgh. Actually, closer to Morgantown, West Virginia than Pittsburgh. So
I know I played in West Virginia, but I was trying to think. It wasn't far from. It was a long time ago, though. It was with that in 2013 with 3 Doors and 3 Doors Down and Chris Daughtry.
Okay.
And I know that we were right there in that area, so in that camp.
There's a place, it's called Ruby Amphitheater. Was this outdoors?
Yes.
It might be Ruby Amphitheater. They have a lot of great concerts there.
That was probably it.
Yeah, it's a nice little venue there. So,
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
yeah. So they call you the mild one, or do you call yourself that?
No, that came from George Lynch because he just needed something to rhyme with mild or wild, and that was the only thing he could come up with.
Well, the question is it true or is it not true that you're the mild one?
No, it couldn't be further from the truth. Even he's like, whoa, all right, calm down there.
So before we get into you and Tesla and everything else that's going on, how is your brother doing?
He is doing great. Yeah, he's just enjoying retirement. He does a whole lot of nothing, followed by a side helping of nothing, and then rides his motorcycle down with his friends and through town every once in a while, and then he goes back home, and he loves it.
And you know what? He's one
That's
of
it.
those artists that said he was going to retire, and he did.
Yeah, and he did, and he didn't. And by the way, there is no chance of a comeback. Just nope, never, not going to do it.
Well, you know
I
what?
know.
There's got to be a point where, it's like, I'm done. I'm just done. I want to enjoy life, like you said.
Yeah, I thought he'd miss it a little bit more than he does, and he just we went down and visited him, and as soon as he retired, and I thought, oh, he's going to be itching to get back out on the road and all this stuff. He was like, no, as a matter of fact, I'm selling all my drums and everything that has to do with drums, and gave away his dock and memorabilia, and like, just that's it. Like, I'm good. Yeah, it's just like, he just said, I've done everything that I set out to do and then some, and I'm good, and that's just what it is. So he made that decision, and he's good.
You have to admire that.
Yeah, I do. But I mean, we got the Mötley Crüe stuff coming up. That's going to be a big deal. I'm doing the Creed cruise with Oleander, and
Now, how did you become involved with Oleander?
we're all from Sacramento, so the Tesla guys I've known forever. And the Oleander guys, we were all in bands in Sacramento, playing, opening for each other's bands, and they used to be called Jack a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
And Jack and whatever band, I had a couple of bands going, and we'd always play together, and we were really good friends, and we were just hung out a lot, and when they finally got a record deal and went to go on the road, they decided to make a drummer change. And they had somebody in mind, but which was Scott Devours, which I'll get into that in a minute. But they called me and they said, "Hey, we have some shows. Can you, help us out and do these shows with us?" So the first one was in Rhode Island, and it was a Gravity Games. It was like an X Games thing. I don't know if the Gravity Games is still around, but it was, around that time where we had both going to X Games and Gravity Games. And so we played that. And then it just kind of kept going a little bit. I had their next record with their next drummer, and we'd always kind of weave into each other's lives here and there. We'd always kind of see each other and go, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they really, really liked this band that I was in at the time in Sacramento. It was called the Slow Lorries. And that had Dan McNay from Jack Russell's Great White was playing bass in that. So he and I played in every band in Sacramento too, together. We came as a package deal. So, it was just kind of the natural progression. And then Scott Devours decided he wanted to go on and do some other stuff. And I've been there ever since. So it's been about, 26 years now, 26 years. Wow. Yeah, I know. It seems like yesterday. I'm like, when we did that show 26 years ago. But yeah, I mean, and so we had a record out in 2013. We went out with Three Doors Down and Chris Daughtry. We did a Texas run with Bush at that time. We played Aftershock in Sacramento, big festival, and some stuff like that. It was just the timing, as you hear people talk about all the time. The timing wasn't right, or whatever it was, and we just kind of put it on hold. But we would get together once a week, so we kind of just stayed together. And now we got offered the Creed cruise, and it turns out I'm not currently booked with Tesla yet.
Okay.
So I get to do that with those guys, and we get to have some fun. So I'm really looking forward to that because Oleander opened for Creed a lot, so I know it was kind of neat to be able to hang out with those guys and stuff back then. And now we're all adults, and and maybe it'll be a little bit more fun, gentlemanly.
Well, they don't call you mild, right? For nothing.
Right, exactly. So those will be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
You mentioned Tesla. You guys are going to be out
Mhm.
on tour this spring, and actually, you're opening the tour up right here in Pittsburgh with Mötley Crüe.
Is that where it starts?
It is, yes.
Pittsburgh. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that. We got back from Cancun this year. Or Cancun was our last show, and it was a big '80s one of those festival type things where it's an all-inclusive hotel, and so we played that, and then a couple of weeks later, I think, did I even get a call from somebody in the band, or did somebody? I think somebody saw it online, which is usually the way I find things out anyway. Hey, you're playing in my town on blah blah blah, and I'm like, when?
Right.
So yeah, when I found out about this, I was like, wow, this is going to be really fun. And I'm a big Extreme fan too, so I'm so excited to get to see those guys over and over again and hang out. And
I already have my vacation planned around that show.
oh, good. You need a day before to prepare and a day after to
Yeah,
sleep it
yes,
off.
pretty much. Pretty much.
All right, fair enough.
It's usually I have to plan around my kids' schedule, and I'm like, oh no, guys, not this year. You're planning around my schedule. Mötley
Yeah.
Crüe, Extreme, Tesla.
Well, I think the dates that I have right now, I haven't looked in the Tesla calendar, but what venue is that in Pittsburgh that we're playing?
Starlight.
Do you know? I'm trying to think. That was another one that was on the Three Doors Down Daughtry list. I think that's one of those amphitheaters, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I did play there too with Three Doors Down and Chris Daughtry, also with Oleander. So I'm looking forward to coming back there. And that always happens to me too. On that run with those guys, we played a lot of those. They call them sheds or amphitheaters, and we played a lot of those. And I get to go back with Tesla, but it's 12, 13 years later. It's probably changed names 16 times.
Yep.
And
Yep.
The Toyota Johnson and whatever amphitheater. And I don't necessarily remember it until I get off the bus and I go, God, I've been here before. I have to remember. Yes, I have actually been there.
I just lost all my questions that went off the screen. Okay, now I got them back. There we go. See, a little drama for me right there. So
it happens.
So going back with Tesla, I know you said you guys were all from the Sacramento area and such. You've been in Tesla since 2021. How would you describe being in such an iconic band, and not taking anything away from Oleander, but Tesla's been around a little bit longer than Oleander?
But yes. Yeah, absolutely. What do you say about that? I mean, Mechanical Resonance, their first record, I think it was 15 when it came out, 15 or 16. And I was just learning how to play drums. So that was one of the first records that I ever learned how to play. I sat and I had a little drum room off the side of our garage, out in the woods at my parents' house. And that's how I learned, and I learned by playing to other people's records. But that had come out that year and I heard it on the radio, Modern Day Cowboy, like a lot of other people. And I loved it, and that record, I still go back and I play that thing and it takes me right back to that, that place, and to play those songs and be involved in that in any capacity is just amazing. But, to have somebody like, over those years, I really looked up to Troy too. And he was in the Eric Martin band, and I was, right before Tesla, and I was really involved in that, and loved all those guys and everything. So Troy was really kind of an influence there, and so that was a really neat thing. And I got to tell him that before this craziness took off, and we got to talk quite a bit. So it was good. But I mean, wow, we don't have enough time on this to describe how awesome that is, to be able to play with these guys. And we've known each other for a long time too, so it wasn't like there's not a get to know you process. It was really just like playing with a bunch of your friends.
And one of the things I love about Tesla is they're just so authentic in their music. And
Yeah.
there's no BS, there's no bubble gum, anything like that. It's just pure rock and roll.
Right, exactly. I mean, everyone goes through their, if they have a long enough career, like 40 years,
Right.
you're gonna go through a bunch of musical directions, and on the other end of it, it's still under that Tesla umbrella, and it's really an awesome thing to go through all those. I'm still, I mean, I'm still going through some of the later records that I hadn't even dug deep into, and really got into. So I always just go back to the first record too. I'm sure like other people do. I mean, but I'm kind of a nut that way. I'm like, oh, I really like this, and then I'll venture out and listen to some other music for a while, and then I'll be like, no, but I really like this though. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of simple that way too.
Yeah.
But man, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to play these songs with these guys and have them trust me with it.
Some of the later albums that they had put out, and one of the songs that I absolutely love is What a Wonderful World. It's just, not heavy.
Yeah.
It's so mellow and makes you think. And, I was like, damn, that really got to me, that song.
When they have such a great chemistry as far as knowing how to write tunes like Tesla.
Yeah.
I guess that's the only way to kind of describe that. Duh, of course they're going to write like Tesla, but they've been working together for so long, and they know how each other works, and it's kind of a cool thing to witness when I get to be a party. It's really cool to be able to sit in the background and watch the dynamics and watch how the process works, in the studio especially.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do that, going all the way back to the record Forevermore. I did some pre-production and stuff on, and some other things on that. But and that was kind of my introduction. That was a long time ago. That was to 2007. So I'm not. I've been around them that long, as far as the playing and all that stuff, So it's a really cool process, and it's really cool to see songwriters when they know what they're doing, and they're together on it, and it's like, oh, I love that, because it could be it can be a drag sometimes, and if you run out of ideas, or you're not necessarily digging what somebody else is doing, or it can be difficult, but they always seem to put their stamp on it pretty quickly, and it's like, boom, awesome. Plus they're all great players and singers and songwriters and all that, so it's cool. I love it.
Yeah. And another thing too that I love about the band is, and there's still 3 core members of the original band together, so and it never seems like there's any drama with Tesla. I mean, I know some have come and gone, and I think the 3 that are in the band now with Jeff and Frank, and I almost said Tommy, and I did say Tommy. He's not in it. But I did see that Frank and Tommy are putting a band together now, right?
I know. Yeah. Well, the one thing that you can always count on is that Brian Wheat's always going to do something. I mean, like he's always he's driven.
That's right.
And
it's Brian, not Frank.
Yeah. It's Brian, Tommy, and Chris Holmes.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I think that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't heard any of it yet, but I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. I know those guys. I know they're having a lot of fun together, and that's really cool. When you're going back that far, when Brian and Tommy weren't talking and stuff for a long time, it's kind of a waste. And it was so cool to see them kind of get back together and at least talk it out, hug it out, and be friends. And now, it's like cool. And then like you get to write songs and stuff together again. And
It's kind of like a mini reunion.
it is, yeah. Mini reunion. Yeah, sure. Why not?
So you mentioned studio time and so forth way back when. Any studio plans now on the horizon for Tesla?
We just finished a batch of tunes. We did our Vegas residency, and then we went to New York, Brian's, and recorded a bunch of songs. And we've been doing it over the past year. But I think the idea is it's a tribute to singers. So there's a bunch of covers on it and stuff that we dug that that Jeff could kind of sing the crap out of, and he did, and he is. And we were just having a lot of fun doing that. For us, Brian says it best, for us to stop down and make a full length record at this stage of the game it's not really advantageous. I mean, there's no real return on investment, shall we say, with
Right.
that. So that's a difficult thing. People have a hard time understanding that sometimes, why don't we do another full length record? Well, if we're spending 6 months or a year or whatever, how many months it is making a record, then we're not playing live. And that's where, we really flourish and want to be, and plus that's where the money is. So there you go.
Hey, you gotta follow the money.
Exactly. Especially at this stage of the game. I mean, we're not a new band.
Right.
Everyone knows what Tesla sounds like, and we have plenty of songs to choose from if we ever want to do a completely different set. We have alternates that we play every night. But
With all your history in drumming and being in different bands, is there any memorable tours or stories or moments that really stand out?
yeah, I mean, gosh, you're talking about 40 years from me now too. And can I just say that is that is a weird thing to say. I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, let's see, how many years have I been doing this? Like 40 years? Holy cow. Wow. It just trips me out every time. But yeah, every time we go out, I really love, I like being on the road. I don't like being away from home necessarily. But I like playing live, and I like those tours and everything. And God, listen, between my brother and I, we've played, seen, and met with so many awesome bands and people. And I still, like I just said, I am so looking forward to seeing Extreme and Mötley Crüe, because you know what? I'm a 12-year-old kid again, and I love it. And every time we play one of those festivals, or I get to play with George Lynch, and we do like the M3 thing. Man, going to see Yngwie Malmsteen and those things or whatever, all those bands. Holy cow, do I love it. I love that stuff. So, really the answer to that question is all of them. All of them. And there's so many to choose from. It's hard to choose one pinnacle moment, because I've had so many pinnacle moments that were just amazing that I just said it just doesn't get any better than this. And after doing it for that long, it does. It keeps going. As long as you keep going.
With some of the younger bands that are out there, they keep the spirit of rock and roll alive. But what advice could you give some of the, I don't even want to say drummers, but just bands members in general, trying to make it in today's music industry?
Well, the problem with that is I'll be honest with you. I don't really know that much about the music business.
Okay.
I would just say, and I tell my young friends, and I taught drums for a long time, and I still keep in touch with all of the younger guys around town that are up and coming, that are just amazing musicians and amazing players. And I was just talking to one the other night, and I was just saying, you just have to keep going. You just, keep going until it doesn't speak to you anymore. Usually musicians, when you're doing it for that long, something inside of us, there's something that drives us. And I had to think about it in my own terms, like, why in the hell did I do this for so long? And because there's a lot of hard times in there. But at the end of the day, God, I learned so much and had so many experiences. And that's the thing, is like, it's not necessarily about making a living or making money at it. because I don't know how the new generation or the next generation's even going to do that. Because, you know, I'm from the generation where you made a record and you made money off of it. And there was tour support, and, you know, those things are really difficult because I don't think they exist a whole lot anymore. And the point is just to keep playing, you know, to keep playing until, because eventually you get to where you wanted to be, or you get to where you're supposed to be. And that's how you do it, just by not stopping. My parents did the same thing to both my brother and I. You know, there was times that they just said, "Hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't do this." But for I don't. I mean, I'm speaking for him because I saw it, but that was never even an option for either one of us. I don't think. You know, it was never an option of like maybe. I'm sure I've thought of it. You know, like, you know, in those lean years, they were called the '90s. And there was no more, you know, everything shifted. But you know, those were the years that I went, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this, you know, maybe, but I just didn't see that I just wasn't in the right place yet, you know. So I guess if that makes sense, the simple answer is don't stop doing what you're doing.
So how did your family produce two legendary drummers?
I have no idea. My poor parents. We have a middle brother too, Bob.
Okay.
Bob never gets enough love. So let's mention Bob in here. Bob is actually the music. He's the connoisseur. So both of my brothers are older than I am. Our parents are 92. They're both still alive. They've been married for 70 years.
That's awesome.
Mick is 14 years older than I am. So he was out of the house when I was 4. And my brother Bob is 10 years older than I am. So there's a big gap in there. But what was cool about that was that my brother Bob, who was still in the house, taught me. He had a huge record collection and a really bitchin' stereo. And so he taught me all the cool stuff. I mean, you know, we went through. I mean, he was the reason why I found out about Rush. He was really into prog music, but he also had a huge love for Steely Dan. So I got that education from those two things, which I think were really important. And then, you know, he had all the new bands that came out. Boston was a huge thing. That first Boston record, that was when I was like, okay, I'm doing this. You know, this is what I'm going to do. So, but how that happened, I don't know. And I'm sure my parents had the same answer that I just gave you prior to this question, which was, I don't know how it happened. And, you know, I'm glad that you just kept going because, you know, we just mowed over them. You know, both of us couldn't wait to get out of high school and get on with it. You know, so it was an interesting thing. And boy, you know, think about this. My parents came to every show. And boy, they're hearing shot. But they, I mean, all of the people, and you know, they were loved by the musical community, and we would, you know, Aerosmith in the Permanent Vacation tour. You know, Steven Tyler would talk to my parents, and then we'd see them again, and they'd go, "Where's your parents?" And they want, you know, he'd want to hang out, and you know, we just had all these great experiences. My parents were like they were the rock stars, you know. Then it turned out Mick would come to town and he'd be like, "Where's mom and dad?" And I'm like, "They're out taking pictures and signing autographs." They should have charged more money for that. But yeah, man, they had a blast. They're the greatest, you know. I don't think we could have asked for a luckier set of parents and a more supportive. I mean, God, the stuff that they put up with, the two of us, Jesus. I got to tell you, I couldn't have done it. I have a son, he's 26, and he didn't become a musician. He went to college. Right on.
Right.
And, but I don't know how much I could have tolerated his friends being over jamming in the garage on a Saturday and playing horribly. But they were like, "Yay, sounds great." And I'm like, oh. So.
Oh, well, you're still lucky you got your
whatever
parents.
it is that they did. Yeah. Yes, God bless the parents.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man. They're still going strong, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're happening. It's hard, you know, it's kind of hard to get them out. They're not as agile as they once were. So, you know, have them come to, you know, the Cow Palace in San Francisco or, you know, some big shows. last time they saw Tesla, I was like, okay, I think they've seen enough shows. They don't need to be here every time. And now, the safest place for them is on the side of the stage. And there's no monitors anymore because we have in-ears. And so there's no sound on stage. You just hear banging drums and some faint vocals. So it all goes through, out front. So I'm looking over at them going, I wonder if they even understand what is happening here. But they don't, they're parents. They don't care.
And I'm sure they're very proud of all three of you boys.
Yes. But I was telling somebody this week, there's nothing more mortifying as a 12, 13, and 14-year-old boy to go to a heavy metal concert with your parents.
Oh, God. Yes.
Yeah, we were seeing Mick at the time, and that's how I met the Tesla guys too. They were opening, but we were seeing Mick at the time, and the first time I saw somebody pass my dad a joint, and I was like, what's he gonna do with it? Freaking out, like, oh my God, somebody passed my dad a joint, and he just passed it on or whatever, But I thought maybe I was gonna get a puff out of there, but never happened. But that's, yeah, I mean, when I first met the Tesla guys, I was 12. They were opening for Dokken on the Tooth and Nail tour, and they were kids too. I mean, Frank Hannon was 15, I think, at the time. And so we were all just a bunch of youngsters running around a bar that we weren't supposed to be in.
Right? Man, those were the days, man. You don't get that nowadays too much.
No, I mean, you don't get a lot of it. And some of it's for good reason, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not everything's a bummer.
No. Just looking at it, from kids nowadays, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the area I live in. They're like, oh man, we can't go into a bar. We'll get kicked out or trouble or whatever, but
yeah,
it was nothing like that back in the 80s.
Yeah,
come on in.
Maybe the updated driver's licenses that we have now, it used to be you could use an eraser and a typewriter and change the date on your driver's license.
Yeah.
Now you got to be a computer whiz.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm sure they got like a chip in there or something. I know.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you can't fudge it anymore like you used to be able to.
Right.
But I used to go see bands when I was underage too, and I'd always get kicked out somehow.
Yeah.
Well, mainly because every time I would break the rules, and I'm kind of still this way too, but I'm always like, paranoid. So I don't look guilty or anything being in a bar that I'm not supposed to be in, looking around like this.
Same here. Although I'm more paranoid, my wife will find out. So, anything else going on in the world of Steve Brown?
I don't know, man. I mean, Tesla starts up mid-January, and we'll be doing our own shows, as usual, until July when we kick off the Mötley Crüe and Extreme tour, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Lastly, how was your experience? Was it Las Vegas residency?
We've been doing it since, let's see, I think 2022 was our first. I'm terrible with dates and years, so forgive me. This is the part where everyone writes in what a dipshit I am at the bottom. Dude, it was 2000, and then everyone can't wait to correct something. And then we did one like twice we did 2 in 1 year span. So I think this was our 4th. Yeah, we had waited another 18 months. So those are great. Those are a lot of fun. I mean, the House of Blues is just the perfect, in Mandalay Bay, it's the perfect size venue, so we can get 5 really great shows in. But it's very, very comfortable, and it's intimate enough for us, and it's really kind of fun. We get to play, and then after the show, there's a bar in the casino, and we kind of, some of us go and hang out at the bar in the casino and get to see fans, and just the same people that go to the Vegas shows come to see us all the time. So it's kind of like a big family thing, it's like a reunion, and we're there, so we don't have to rush off on the bus and go to the next town. We can stay and hang and catch up with people, and I had a really good time this year and found out some great things about some fans that have been around forever, and it's kind of it's good. I like it.
Awesome. That's good to
I
hear.
can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you any
Yeah.
plans for it again?
I'm sure there is. Again, the last one to know usually. So I usually find out. Probably I'm thinking it's if I had to guess, it's probably going to be not 26 again, because I think the Mötley Crüe thing is going to take up almost the rest of the year, unless we do it like in October, November. But there's no plans for that as far as I know yet. So wanted to make that clear. Somebody will pick that up. Steve Brown says Tesla's playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know yet, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there is a plan. It's too much fun for us to not to do, and it's so well run, and we love the venue and the people at the venue and everything about it. So it's awesome.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you for taking part in the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
And I hope your son gets better.
Oh, me too. And hopefully I'll see you in Pittsburgh in July.
Pittsburgh it is. I like it. I got to go to Permane Brothers if I'm there.
Oh, now you're speaking to the heart right now.
Oh man, you know what? As many times as I've been to Pittsburgh, it was a couple of years ago, and I had my birthday there, and we had a day off, and that was the first place I went. And I tell you, I could have gone back twice.
Nice.
I'll be hitting that thing again for sure.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
Even if I have to send somebody out to get it for me.
There you go.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
I could talk to Steve for hours, but I don't know if I'd get a word in edgewise. I've interviewed a lot of celebrities, artists, musicians, legends, but Steve, I got to say, you are what I am now going to describe as the human energy drink. I am absolutely convinced that if scientists could just somehow bottle whatever fuels you, and I don't think we really want to know, we could solve the world's energy crisis overnight. Forget solar panels, forget wind turbines, just hook Steve Brown up to the grid and watch what happens. He's like the ultimate warrior of music. Of course, makeup is optional. I don't think Tesla ever was a hairband. See the little makeup ultimate warrior? Yep. Okay. You're good. You got that. Steve, all you need to do is just cut a promo or shake some ropes or some drumsticks and sprint full speed to the drum kit. This episode of Gen X Marks the Spot podcast was pure high energy. And if you enjoyed my interview, and how could you not, with Steve, make sure you give us a like and a follow on all our social medias, as well as Steve's and Tesla's and Oleander's. If you like, leave a review, tell your fellow rock fans all about our show, say how great it was, even if it wasn't, lie. That's always the best option. And don't forget, Tesla, Extreme, and Mötley Crüe, the return of the Carnival of Sin tour, kicking off right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, July 17th at the Pavilion at Star Lake. Until next time, keep the beat going, keep the volume up. Peace out. Props everyone for listening. I'm Joe with Gen X Marks the Spot podcast.
It's the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast.